Hi there, good evening ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mark from the Capo Gaming and today I'm going to make a short little video about how to mod. I see a lot of content creators telling you how to mod your mod slots as in your weapons, as in your Descendant, and I think they are wrong. The reason why I think that they're wrong, I'm going to explain you why they're wrong.
Would you like to
and I'm
use
going to
the
explain
laboratory?
to you what I do and how I mod for specific circumstances. We all know that the void bosses have different properties. The one has, is more increased to piercing damage, the other one is more increased to blunt damage, the other one is more susceptible to other kind of damages. Right, so let's go in here to our laboratory, right, laboratory settings. Right, let's do everything on a line, okay. And then Vulgens level, let's say just a little bit normal. Let's do level 50. Okay, change level. Okay, let's see Vulgens quantity. Let's do 5. Change quality. And you can see Legion of Immortality, Order of True, Legion of Darkness. Right? Why is that important? Because certain gun have certain aspects that does increase damage against increased factions. You don't hear anybody say something about that because they don't understand what they're doing, because they get that taught from their deaf friends and their friends, so they are not going in depth in how to mod correctly for specific factions, specific boss fights, or that you want to have an overall build that will help you out in every fucking situation. Of course, there are some rights and wrong about the build. Yeah, so let's spawn the Vulgens right now. And as you can see, there are Vulgens level 50. Okay, so if I go in here to my Viessa, I want you to take a good look at my Viessa. Let's first go to our reactor settings and our Descendant, right? So what you first want to do is you want to check out your two properties on your skill. Chill fusion, chill fusion, shield fusion, shield tech. So her fort is enhanced by tech, and then you have a passive fucking skill, right? So you have 3 skills that work on shield fusion, and you have 1 on shield tech, right? So if I go in here into my reactor, right, you can see that my the reactor has chill skill power for boost radio and tech, right? Don't look at the numbers here because I'm trying to get the best, of course, reactors for my Descendants. How I like to mod it is I like to mod for max HP, sometimes max shield and max defense here. The higher, of course, the defense, the lower the damage you take. The higher your shield properties, the lower the less that you're going to take damage to your health prior, right? So you can mod 2 ways. You can mod for shields on your external components, and you can mod for shields on your Descendant, right? But for me, I will always say try to get as max HP, max mana regen. As you can see, max HP, Kuiperschaft, max shield, consumable drop rate, memory set is extra defense, shield recovery, electrical resistance. Here another defense, max shield, and toxic resistance, right? So if I go in here, I have another one. It says another defense module, yeah, with max HP, right? I can switch that out, but you can see max HP, max HP. Why is that? If I get Glay, yeah, I had max defense and max health. Very important for Glay, because Glay doesn't have shields. So you need to understand how to mod that. So if I go in here to my level 79 Thunder Cage, I will let you see how I mod it. You can see it's almost 90,000 damage. Why is that? People are always saying you need to mod this and you need to mod that and you need to mod this, right? If you are new to the game, ladies and gentlemen, there is a button here, equip recommended mods, right? If you have some mods, equip recommended mods. So this will give you a little bit of an understanding of the game, how to equip your mods. If you don't want to be bothered by instantly go in depth how to mod your weapons, then equip recommended modules and then read what it says. Now it says better insight. What is that? Firearm critical hit rate, right? better concentration, another 5 critical hit damage, right? Critical hit rate and critical hit damage. Yeah, so critical hit rate is like critical hit chance, and critical hit damage is the damage that you're doing when you're critting. Then you have something like recycle genius reload time modifier. Yeah, because the faster you reload, the faster you can pump out guns of shells, the more damage that you're doing. Fire rate, of course, is important, right? So the higher you fucking fire, the more damage you do. Vibration of such a recoil, if you have very recoil heavy guns, yeah, or you cannot handle the recoil. It says, hey, get yourself less recoil, so you have a laser beam, Hawkeye. The accuracy is also going to be improved. Concentration, firearm, critical hit damage, a reload time modifier, another reload time modifier, right? And then weak point sides damage plus 9%. Why is that so important, the weak point side damage? If you go into boss fights, the breakables, the knee pads on the Devourer, the shoulder pads, everything else is a weak point. Is a weak point. If you break it, the breakable, you create weak points, right? And then you will do an extra percentage on that spot of the weak point. And then we have rifling and reinforcement, and that is just flat out base damage, right? So if I go in here, it says save changes, yeah, you can see I did it differently. Why did I mod my gun differently? So as you can see, I am playing with Viessa. Viessa is chill. Viessa does chill damage. So how do I mod my weapon? And I will also let you see some different things in a second, yeah, because different descendants ask for different modifications on your gun. Depends on which faction that you're fighting, what are their weaknesses, because you can push the R3 button. If I go in here, yeah, and I push the R3 button, look what it does. And what does it say? They are weak to poison, and then you have another sign, yeah, a blunt sign, right? So they are weak to poison and weak to blunt. So you know for this faction, if I mod for poison and for the other fucking thing, you can clearly see that I will do increased damage to these enemies. So with that being said, everywhere you go on the map, every new map you come across, highlight the enemies. Also with the boss, it will highlight the weak points on the boss. It will definitely highlight the color blue on the weak points. As you can see, if I go in here, I'm gonna shoot at 25,000 critical damage on the face. So why is it so important that you understand that there is a synergy between modding with your character and how to mod your guns? Right, so I will let you see right now. So on my gun, or how I mod it, and of course I do not, I'm paid to win individuals, I do not put hot potatoes, yeah? I do not put hot potatoes in my guns, nor do I put hot potatoes on normal mode on my character. This is basic for everybody who's just going to the game. So what you can see here is weak point quick fire. It will add a fire rate, so this increases damage for faster shooting. Yeah, it will give also weak point damage, right? So that will say that if I have a breakable on a boss or I hit a weak point on a monster, I will get an extra 2%. Then I have here reload time modifier. Reload time modifier 6%. Firearm critical hit rate, yeah, and that is the same as critical hit chance, right? Plus 3%. Then I go into inside support ammo, rounds per magazine plus 14, critical hit rate plus 1.5%, and I had here 3%. That's 4.5%, right? Then I have snowflake conductor. Why? When attacking an enemy inflicted with frostbite or firearm, that gives me another flat 10% extra attack power. Then of course the flat attack power 18%, so that is in total of almost 30%, yeah, if they are frozen. Better concentration, fire, critical hit, damage, right? That is just crit chance, crit damage, crit, right? And then focus, fire, weak point damage plus 11%, critical hit damage plus 6.5%, yeah? Weak point damage plus 2%, plus 12, that is almost plus 11, it's almost 13% weak point damage, right? And 6.5% critical hit damage, yeah? And then I have critical hit damage here, 6, so just 30%, right? 30% extra damage on top of that. So how does this actually work? And why is it a synergy between the gun and the individual? So if I use my B, and as you can see, I don't really have a trace, it gets extra damage. Then I use A, now they're still. And now you can see I'm absolutely melting, yeah, because it is synergizing between my skills of my Descendants and how I modded the gun, right? So, and do actual electrical damage, but these people of these factions are more resistant to this. Yet again, actual damage for skill damage to the skill, and go to gun. As you can see, 25,000 damage, right? If I go to this guy here, this skill, right? 14,300, right? And these are level 50 enemies, right? So I told you how to create synergy. Now I'm going to tell you something else. So this is the Vulgens settings. Now we're going to be the order of the truth. Spawn Vulgens, right? So if I go to the order of the truth, yeah, and I yet again hit my R3 button, the right thumbstick, now you can see, hey, they are weak for electrifying and they are weak to blunt. And look, this is now exactly what my weapon does. Underneath the thunder cage, you see the little sign submachine gun, and you see the little damage input. Here you can see another damage input, and here you can see another damage input. This is pierce damage, this is both blunt damage, right? So as you can see now, my thunder cage does an electrical damage. So let's see what we're doing now. Then again, hit my B for the extra damage. I put still out and I do 50,000 damage. Why is this important for you people to understand? If I create a video on how to mod, I will take in consideration the weak point from these enemies. I will come and take in consideration the weaknesses of the faction that I am playing against, right? So if I go into Legion of Darkness here, spawn the Vulgens, and I will walk up to the Vulgens here, and these are armored enemies, and I hit the R3 buttons, you can see they are subjective to chill and pierce, right? Chill and pierce. Now, I don't have any pierce, right? But you can see I have a submachine gun, but they are more subjected to chill. So I use my skill, and then right? Nice little damage increase, right? A lot of damage, yeah, on the weak points with the critical hit chance, critical hit damage, and the synergy between my Descendant and between my weapons. I do everything like that. If you don't understand how to mod, go to settings to equip recommended mod and then check out what they do. As you can see, I have toxic enhancement here. It doesn't need toxic enhancement, but if you have something like Freya, and I will show you right now because I have presets. If I go here to Poison Mommy here, and I take Poison Mommy out, right? You can see my reactor here. My reactor here does submachine gun weapon class equip damage, toxic skill damage, and dimension damage. And of course, defense, defense, and shield, and defense, and defense. So this is toxic, right? So what I'm gonna do now, right, is I go into my weapon, and instead of saying, hey, I wanna have Snowflake, I go in here, search, see if I have a tox mod, right? Tox mod, and you see I don't have any primary tox mod, right? So I cannot do extra damage with toxic, right? So it doesn't work, right? So it's a shame I don't have any tox mod on one. But you can see that the enemies that I'm up against here take increased damage against chill and pierce, right? So if I use something like my puddle here, yeah, and then start shooting, I will do also damage, but I will do not the same amount of number of damage as what I did previously. The reason why? Because there is not a lot of synergy. If I now go back, to the other Vulgens mod, to the other faction here, to the Legion of Immortality, and I spawn these Vulgens, yeah, if I go back and I hit the R3 button and scan them, they're weak to poison and they're for break. I will let you see how to understand what these icons mean in a second. So I poison them, and then I start tuning. So now I have yet again synergy because they are weak to poison and they are weak to a specific damage type, right? I cannot show you the damage type at this moment because here sniper rifle is this damage, right? So how can you see what kind of damage type it is? So if you want to have a synergy between your weapons and your Descendant, right? Then check out the factions that you're against. Every level have a different faction. When you come into the level, first fucking thing that you do is hit the R3 button. You scan the weaknesses, properties of the enemies where you at that moment are, and then you are modding at that moment for specific levels, right? So if I here go to Kingston, say that I start at Kingston here, and I need to do one thing in a level, I just go run around there, see a group of enemies. The first thing that I do is I check out the enemy's weaknesses properties. Then I'm gonna mod my weapon to the weaknesses property of the enemies of that faction and that area, because I will maximize my damage in that area. And of course, if you want to believe the content creators that are spending hundreds of dollars in getting hundreds of dollars of getting the potatoes and putting the potatoes in their Descendants and putting the potatoes in their weapons, then you are free to do whatever you want, right? So if I go to Jabert here, and I take Jabert here, I said no damage because there is something wrong with the synergy between the reactors and the technicians. So if you can see, Jabert has a reactor and it has non-attribute skill and dimension. If I look at the Descendant myself, it has non-attribute and dimension, but the turns scale different in this game. The turns scale the turns scale at technician and at non-attribute where is it? Non-attribute. Let's see, non. Non-attribute. I have toxic antibody because I fight the devourer, and to be able to show that you can do anything else. Toxic specialist, that is for the poison mommy for her weapons and things like that. Heat antibody. This is what I'm using in the normal situation. If you don't find a boss, use polygenic antibody because it will cover all four elements. It will poison, electricity, cold and heat. Use this one if you're roaming around the world because it makes sure that you will be more protected against all damage outsourced instead of one specific, right? So what I would do is doing this and then this. I would use something like this, right? So as you can see, increase. Also, ladies and gentlemen, very important, get yourself one of those short swords or anything else in here. Yes, if I go to settings too, why is that important? Because the more you spend in here, right, the more you spend in here for MP plunder or HP collector or anything else, the more you spend in here, the more diminishing, the more return you can see. I get 10 plus 10 extra mod capacity just by upgrading this slot, right? So the more you upgrade this slot, the more mod capacity you will have. So if you have a mallet mod here, maybe you want to have the claws, maybe you want to have the sword. I also have claws somewhere. Maybe you want to have the shock punch, whatever floats your boat. Maybe you want to have the kick, right? And whatever floats your boat, you can put it in there, but instantly increase it to max level because it will increase your mod slot capacity without modding and putting a potato into your Descendant. This is very important. And then you have, of course, the skill module specific for your Descendant, but always fully upgrade. First thing you want to do by every Descendant, get one of these mods fully upgraded because it will cost you a lot of money and a lot of resources, but it gives you back and plus 10 slot. Yeah, max capacity up plus 10. Plus 10 extra mod capacity without doing anything. As you can see, increased shield here, yeah, because Joubert is more shield, and that has something to do with other things. As you can see, dual claw here, decimator, whatever floats your boat. I'm not going to too much details, yeah, because this is more like a beginner friendly how to mod your character than how the people want to try to believe what the best modifications for your gun is, because they don't talk about synergy between your reactors, your guns, and the factions in the game. They don't talk about the weaknesses and the elements. Yeah. So if I want to do anything, I will do this. One turret, two turrets.
Come at me.
I will need to enhance this turret. This is a level 50. And this is the reason why I call this no damage, because there is no synergy between the skills and things like that. And Joubert's turrets are not scaling anymore like they were scaling in the beta. Yeah, although you put everything right as reactor and as mass in there, you can scale whatever the F you want. The turrets are not scaling, and 4,000 damage is 0 to none, right? And so what is very important is that you have skill critical hits on your reactor and things like that, right? The skill critical hits, but I don't have that. If you can see, there's a normal one. If I look at the property downstairs, the dimension skill power boost, sub attack power, but there also are reactors that says that it does extra skill damage, extra percentage skill damage, and extra percentage tech damage. If you get that on your Joubert, yeah, on your reactor, yeah, extra skill damage, and with also the non-attribute skill and the dimension skill, if you get a reactor that also has percentages way down, as you can see, way down, it says dimension skill power in purple and sub attack power in purple if you're not colorblind. If you get one that does extra damage, skill damage and extra damage, tech damage, that will instantly also increase the damage of your turrets, right? But that's just something maybe for another day for in-depth personal customization or how to get the max damage per character. I call Joubert the no damage character, yeah, because it is the no damage character. So the one that I'm running currently with is Vietza. So she is like my main. That is the one that I started with. Yeah, so we're going back into this thing, Snowflake, we have everything. And of course you can see my mods are not fully upgraded because I don't want to put a potato in my gun so far because I don't know what I eventually want to do. So I hope you understand now, to summon it up, how this works. Every faction has weaknesses. If I go to laboratory second, every faction, Legion of Immortality, Order of Truth, and Legion of Darkness has weaknesses. There are guns in the level where you're spawning, yeah, as you can see. Bonus firearm attack, rounds per minute, bonus firearm attacks versus Legion of Immortality. So there are guns that are doing extra damage against specific factions. So my shotgun, yeah, my shotgun says Legion of Immortality. This is Legion of Immortality, right? So if I freeze them like this, put my shotgun out there, right? It will do tons of damage, right? Tons and tons and tons of damage, right? Because it is synergy with the faction. So, so to sum up what we learned here, first of all, if you come into a new area, Kingston, Vespers, and the White Knight Claws, or anything else, the first thing that you want to do is you want to roam around, find yourself a group of enemies that are roaming around, yeah, on patrol. Hit your R3 or your right thumbstick, just push it in, scan the enemies, yeah, and then look for their weaknesses, right? So you can see the weaknesses. So the green is poison, and you can check out which one they are. And you can say, Mark, what are the other ones? I will let you see right now. If I can get out of here. Let's get out here. Leave. Right, so that's the first thing. So we're going to jump back in. Because you cannot just leave in here. I just get it the map and just teleport it to Albion. I'm stupid, but okay. That's something for another time. There should be an option, just leave the leave that trainings area, right? Should be an option, just leave. so that you're instantly back, you teleport in Albion, but it doesn't, right? So now we understand there is a synergy, yeah, with the weapon, a synergy modding with the weapon, and the synergy has the weapon synergy with the Descendant. So now,
I'm analyzing the void.
if I go here into void battles, and I look at the Gravewalker, you can see this symbol means pierce. And then you have the sensor, helmet, and core. That says something else. But the weak point type is pierce. That means if you remove the breakable, then you will do increased damage if you have pierced weapons. If I go in here, it says, hey, crush. And I'll go back here. Okay, so what do I need? I need to have crush to get more damage against the sensor. And then I need to have pierce to do enhanced damage against the weak points. Be aware of the fact this is all a big deal. Yeah? And you don't hear your content creators about the synergy about that. As you can see, of course, the attribute resistance, that's what everybody looking at, but nobody looks at the weak point type, nor that they're looking at what is actually the thing that I need to equip to do extra damage against the armor properties so that I get to the weak points, so I will do more damage what I'm having. Of course, nobody gets F about it because we're not on hardcore mode now, but on hardcore mode, I strongly suggest to check that out. So we're going to that, Stunning Beauty here, crush. Now you can see core cover is balancer, right? So if I look at this, and you can see this is burst, and this is also burst, right? So burst. So what does it say? Hey, I need burst damage to get rid of her armor very fast, because I will do increased damage with burst damage. Your submachine gun, your thunderclap is a burst damage weapon, right? And then you need crush to do extra damage against the weak points. But okay, if you have your thunderclap modded, like what I'm saying, doing extra damage against weak points and things like that, that is when you can actually check a video out how to mod with extra damage and extra damage against weak points. That is strongly suggested for boss fights. Why is that important? Because you want to do as much damage in a short amount of time possible, right? So we're going to go to Executioner here. So as you can see, the armor is weak against spears, right? And then except for the plasma amplifier. And then the weak point, as soon as you remove the armor, is yet again weak to burst. If I go to the Devourer, as you can see, the sensor is weak to burst. Yeah, the balancer here, the weak need to blunt, and then you have weak point pierce type. It is all like that. So if you don't understand what the icons mean above, the heads of the enemies, check out here by the void what they mean. Yeah, so you can understand. Check the icon from the enemies that you have, and you can understand what weapon type, what you need to equip. So my name is Marco from the Capo Gaming. To summon everything up, what have you learned in this short video? You learned, first of all, that there is a synergy between modding your Descendant and modding your guns. Some skill will enhance the damage of your gun. The reason why I do that is because I have cold bloodness here. It says when using the skill, that is my second skill. So instead of having a trail, an ice trail where everybody see around with increased peel, I will do increased skill power and decreased skill cost and skill cooldown. Yeah, so I don't have a frost rod. Yeah, and the percentage of this, and we saw that in another thing, if you do that, is 5%. There's another extra 5%, if I'm not mistaken, extra damage on top of everything when you're using the skills, right? So as you can see, I am rocking polygenic armor. In the open world, you have multiple factions doing multiple sources of damage, right? So if you only mod for one damage type, you will be subjective to more damage from the other sources. That's the reason why I rock polygenic antibody. Yeah, when I'm going up in the world, yeah, when I'm doing campaign missions, and of course I will mod appropriately if I go into a boss, right? If the boss says I do fire, I will mod for fire. If it says toxic, I will mod for toxic. If it does heat, I will mod for heat. Then I do the single mods in here because it is more important than to have a higher resistances for the specific damage type of the boss, right? So we learned that. Second, we learned that there are modifications for your weapon that will enhance your damage with the synergy of your skills and the synergy of your Descendant. And then third of all, and don't sleep on it, if you don't know how to mod, equip recommended mod and then read the mods, what the game says. Why is that important? Because sometimes you go by the Descendant module and you are modding and you don't understand. As you can see here, this is a green number, this is a green number, right? If I would do this, it says, hey, I can do that, insufficient capacity. So as well in Warframe, as well in the first Descendant, we have module slots assigned socket type. As you can see, socket types, right? So if you slot the correct mod in the correct socket, you will have a reduction of energy cost of that mod. Very important. And sometimes with new Descendants, you just forget about it. You forget about the new Descendant. Oh yeah, I have this kind of mod slot and this, and what can I do? But if you equip recommended modules, it will automatically already equip the corresponding mods and the corresponding socket type, right? So that means that if you are maybe modding wrong, or if you put that in a different place, that if you use the equip the recommended modules, that maybe you can get more mods, into your Descendant without instantly putting in a potato. The reason why you don't want to put it instantly a potato, because you only want to put a potato maybe in your ultimate Descendants, right? And you want to farm for them later on. So how to get more mod slot capacity, the correct mods and the correct modules, and of course a fully upgraded melee mod, because that's just a melee mod, right? So if we go here to settings free, as you can see it's a sub module, it's a melee mod, right? You are fully upgraded or as far as possible, because that will give you an increase of mod capacity without putting in a potato, right? I call it a potato because I'm coming from Warframe. And then you're gonna mod accordingly for what you're having, right? You will mod accordingly. As you can see, I'm focusing on chill, so that I get fucking extra damage on my chill powers, and I will actually get cooldown reduction, strong mentality, another skill cost reduction. You can have purple mods. Purple mods mostly come with 2 positives or 1 positive and a negative, and then you have to spec into the negative, right, to reverse the negative effects. But you can check that out later. So ladies and gentlemen, before you go into a content creator, how to mod, be aware of the fact, that if you want to mod and if you see something that they're doing, take in consideration certain factions are more susceptible to damage for certain outputs. Some like some you do more damage with poison, some you do more damage with chill, some you do more electricity, and some you will do more damage with fire. If you have the faction, or if you go into a new area, scan our free button, or the right push in the right thumbstick on your controller. I do not know what that is on a PC. I do not play PC, I don't have a keyboard. Check out on PC how to scan your enemies. First of all, go into the new area, scan a roaming enemies, right? A patrolling enemy base. Check out the icons above their head, where they are weak and subjective to, and then go back to Albion and mod for the correct individuals there, or for the correct faction that you are about. Try to create synergy between reactor and things like that and everything else. Now my love goes in here. Everything that I want to have on the components normally is maximum shield, maximum health, maximum mana. Okay, but there are frames that don't use mana, as well. Bunny doesn't use mana, so that is useless. So you don't need to have extra mana regen on Bunny. And there are other Descendants frames, other Descendants out there that also do not use the mana resource, but they regenerate their own resources by killing enemies, right? There are other Descendants that are working like that. Freya also doesn't have of mana. Freya does everything with health and things like that, right? So it is very important that you have maximum defense, maximum health, and that you mod accordingly also with Freya, that everything you do, and there are modifications on the Descendant, yeah, where you can get extra health back, right? Let's see where they are. That was a golden mod, if I'm not mistaken. HP collector. When defeating an enemy, instantly recovers 9% of the max. Of course, you can get that fully up, right? If you go fully up, you can get more percentages of max health. So if you get low on health in Super Saiyan mode, you kill a trash mob, and bang, you are back to full health. Depends on how much you modded the HP collector. It has a cooldown of 11 seconds, but in the meanwhile, you also drop orbs to regain your health with Freya, right? Of Glay, I'm sorry, Glay. Freya is the poison Pokemon mom, right? So you can mod accordingly to your Descendant, but that is an in-depth modding and how to max optimize your Descendant, and that is not what this video is all about. This video is all about, I see people saying, you have to mod like this and you have to mod like that. Yeah, but it's very basic, and you don't tell people what they need to take in account. Taking in account the faction, the weaknesses of the faction, taking in account the synergy of the Descendant that you're playing with at the moment, and the modifications on your gun to complement the skills, to complement the Descendants, and to increase your damage against the factions and increase your damage against the void bosses. If this helped you to understand and getting a deeper knowledge and how to mod your character and how to absolutely shred things in the world without instantly going to the shop and buy yourself a potato like everybody else is doing at this moment, who is trying to convince you, yeah, look, I can solo level 70 bosses, yeah, with level 100 guns, fully upgraded with a potato in it with extra mod slot capacity. Don't be fooled. If you are a new player or you're just coming into the game and you do not understand the modding system, do not be shy to use the recommended settings. Use the recommended settings until you have a deeper understanding about the synergy, and then start creating your own build. The recommended mods is there. If you're a new player, you will not have all the mods, but you have certain mods that will give an indication to the player where to put the mods and how to mod your character accordingly to have an overall better experience in the game. My name is Mark van Kapel Gaming. I hope this helped you people out on how to mod accordingly and specifically for certain factions, and synergize between the reactors, the components, the Descendants, the skills and the mods on the Descendants, and the skill and the mods on your weapons. Guys, have a nice day. My name is Marco. I'm signing off. I see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.